It is low. This might be a short morning. The water typically needs to be a little bit higher. Because when it gets low like this, those fish, they tend to just go underneath the rocks, and it's really challenging with all this moss and debris in the water. You get hooked up a lot. You can use dry flies though. So I do have a dry fly rod, and I have my nymphin rod set up with, I got my dry fly, I have a Mercer's Missing Link. And on my nymphin setup, I got a double little Euro nymphin setup with a waltz worm, and then just something else I made by myself. Both really light patterns. But as you can see, the water is super gene clear. See, there was a little fish that jumped up there, but those are just little guys. I don't know if I want to pester them too much. Water is nice and cold though. Which is nice. Let's see what I can do with this little missing link. I don't think very much of anything, but let's be confident. Last time I was here, the water was all the way up on these rocks. So, I mean, this is really low. I've never seen it this low before. But it is August 2nd again, so it's like, or excuse me, August 4th. Happy birthday, Dad. So, you would think that it would be a little bit low. Typically, when the water's this low, these fish are hidden up in the oxygenated stuff, if they're even there. Most of the time they're just hunkered down. That doesn't mean there can't be one or two around, hanging out, waiting for some food. I just don't really want to catch the little guys. I know there's bigger fish in here. It is beautiful though, that's for sure. Gorgeous little spot to spend a day. In Canton Jura, there's plenty of places to park on the road. Plenty of pull-offs, especially on this river. More than enough space for you to spend a day. You know, also if you want to split your day up, there's so many other things to do too. Do a little fishing in the morning, some hiking in the afternoon, maybe just sitting around enjoying the scenery. It looks sexy from back here, but incredibly shallow. Up there is where we want to go. Maybe something right there? What do you think? Looks a little tasty. I could put the nymphs through there. I'm just getting over anxious to get up to there, because I know there's deep pools up there, and if there were any big fish, I mean, there might be big fish down there, but as is with all fishing, you gotta kind of assess the situation and go for your best opportunity, which I would feel. Maybe even that little whitewater right there. Stick a nymph in there, see what happens. As always, when there's a better flow of water, then there's less debris, and also of course less algae. You can see that dark spot under there. Now this is just, it's not example for what I may be catching a fish, but typically with these little rivers in Switzerland, what I found out, this dark spot under there, these brown trout will typically hide under these dark spots. So a lot of times you gotta really be tactical in your presentation to either be going up into the white water, or if you find some deep dark spots, always watch your overhead if you can. Ooh, nice fish. That's a really nice fish. Dang. Hello. Holy. Jesus. Look at that thing. Oh my God. Holy shimolians. Told you there's big fish in here. Look at this beast. With the warm, holy crap. Holy crap. My Lord. That is a beast of a fish. I think it just popped out too, hopefully. No? Hopefully you guys can all see that. There you go, bud. Obviously with the water being so warm, try to handle him, trying to get that hook out of there as at least as possible. That is a big, healthy, beautiful Swiss brown trout. Hello, gorgeous. Get out of there. There you go. Beautiful. First one. All right, day's done. I need no more. Wow, that was lovely. There you go, bud. They work in such small paced spaces. Like that's their life, is to work in these really small spaces. Yeah, right here. White water, that's the most oxygenated water they can get into when the water's low. Nice, slow, smooth presentation. And that's what he took. Then I have my Waltz worm on the other end. 2 light patterns. I typically go with light patterns in this river. A little bit of flash. Lovely. That was a beast. About 16 inches. However many, you know, 20 years in Switzerland, you think I would know the conversions, but I'm good with my Fahrenheit and Celsius conversions, but my metric to imperial conversions are really kind of rugged. Maybe 40 centimeters. Sounds about right. I think if the water was higher, I'd definitely be fishing the bottom end, the tail end of these pools, these little pools, but since it's not, and if you do end up coming here this time of the year or when the water is low, I'll put a link to the hydro gauges so you know. Again, this is August 4th, so you just double check that height with if you're ever planning on coming, you know, the height of it at that time. Ooh, there was another one. But again, when it's low like this, you concentrate on the high oxygenated places. Places where those big fish will be sitting. Jesus, that was a big fish. Very large. Just to make sure everybody knows, that is not the standard. That is definitely special fish. Standard is probably around 12 inches. Standard brownie. But as you just saw, they do sometimes. See this shade under here, under this rock? I mean, you could call it Euro nymphing if you want, but it's more like Euro flopping, kind of guessing. Right there on that seam. Give those brown trout a chance to kind of dash out from the side. They'll be hiding in the shade. Nothing in there. Yeah, I just rigged mine just normal. I got 4.5 fluoro. I do a triple surgeons, so I do about, you know, half a arm's length, or excuse me, about 3 feet of 4.5, and then I just triple surgeons about 1.5 to 2 feet onto that, so I have a stagnated, just like that, still stagnated nymphs. I mean, you can put them in the same, you can put one higher, one lower. I don't think there's any science behind where you would want to put them. I always use 2 nymphs. That's just how I've always done it. You can use 1 if you want to. It's totally up to the fisherman. There's a big rock right there. I'm trying to see if I can get it kind of right underneath it. Possibly. It's a lot of kind of fishing, it's kind of driving at the same time. Because you do have to kind of steer your nymphs around. Obviously, polarized glass is very important to know what the heck you're seeing. And this time of the year too, a lot of wet wading. I'm just using my waders today so I can pack all my stuff to film this, but wet wading because the river's not that cold. And I've learned throughout my years doing this, if you don't get something within the first 3 casts in a specific spot, i.e. here or here, typically it's not happening. So either you're gonna change if you'd like, or you keep moving. I like to cover water, so for me I do 3 or 4 casts in a spot, 3 or 4 casts in a spot. Like this, I'll 3 or 4, and then I'll pack up and move. That's just me though. Some people like to stick and stay, but I think if you cover more water, then you have a better chance of catching and finding more fish, or finding and then catching more fish. There's one. This is, hey little guy. This is a classic. This is, anybody who fishes European streams, this is always wet your hands, of course. This is a classic brown trout. 6 inches, just a little guy, feisty. That big one's a rarity because typically they're not as feisty as the little ones. I go mostly by feel. I don't really watch my sighter, that's just me personally. When I'm Euro nymphing, I'm 99% of the time I'm just going by the feel of my hand. I'm trying to establish that connection. I could close my eyes if I want to, or I'll be looking away. As long as I have that feel, then I'll be connected to the rod and I won't miss anything. Thought there might have been something in there, but there's not. Or there wasn't for me, at least. You see all these little ones? Again, underneath the rocks. Another one right there. A little bit longer casts, maybe, and especially in situations like this, may be beneficial. Just kind of steering it around that rock there. Underside of that rock. There's always the natural formation of the river over time will always erode underneath a rock typically, and there'll be a space, and that's where these fish like to sit, in that erosion space between the rock and the bottom of the riverbed, which makes sense. But fish here, I mean, they may have some natural predators, but not really. There's really no otters that I can think of. You know, in some spaces there are, but you know, birds, eagles, not that many. It's just their natural. Off of that stick. The natural thing to do is to try to find shelter. There was one. See that recessed rock under there? Another good spot. You can try to drag your flies under there. Playing with fire with these branches on top of me. Almost had a miss. Thought there might have been something in there. That would probably be good down in there. But man, that'd be a pain to cast. And I'm an old lazy dude, so I leave that for the young dudes. Couple sitting in there.